and others, that the root of evil is in nothingness, that is, in privation or limitation of creatures. The root of evil is to be found in non-being in a specific sense, that of creatio ex nihilo, which was not included in the original Neoplatonic analysis of evil as a privation or absence of being. Precisely this origin ex nihilo marks creaturely limitation and creatures' liability to do evil, and as a consequence to suffer evil. Since it is the very nature of a creature not to be a god, this creaturely limitation is no more an objection to God's omnipotence or goodness than the fact that God cannot modify the nature of a triangle. On the contrary, by creating out of nothing the maximum of compossible being and goodness, God is, as it were, eliminating as much non-being or metaphysical evil as possible. Now, Augustine was clear that such origin ex nihilo, and therefore such original limitation, should not be regarded as making creatures to some extent evil. He writes in Against the Fundamental Letter of the Manichaeans, "If we should say that these things made out of nothing are not good things, but that only God's nature is good, we would be unjust to good things of great value. And there is impiety in calling it a defect, in anything not to be what God is, and in denying a thing to be good because it is inferior to God." End of quotation. I think Leibniz would have agreed, despite his regrettable decision to associate creaturely limitation with metaphysical evil. I take this view for the following reason. It seems to me that metaphysical evil, intended as this original limitation, has strictly the character of malum in se, that is, ontologically is strictly non-being. In other words, although creaturely limitation is formally evil, malum in se, insofar as it qualifies as an instance of non-being, does not on its own make a creature to some degree or in some respect evil, that is, malum alteri. On the other hand, this necessary limitation of creatures qua creatures makes it possible, although not necessary, that rational and free creatures will choose moral evil, malum culpe, and thereby give origin to physical evil, malum pene. In other words, the necessary limitation of creatures has, as a consequence, the possibility of moral and physical evil, but not its necessity. I come to my conclusion. In sum, by metaphysical evil, Leibniz seems to mean two quite different things, linked, however, by their independence from moral evil. First, natural evil, namely a kind of evil which is not related to moral responsibility, such as the naturally occurring lack of a due perfection and the adverse effects of certain natures on other natures, independently of any moral fault. And second, the original imperfection of creatures due to their origin ex nihilo. I agree with Paul Rator's remark that in Leibniz's notion of metaphysical evil, there is an equivocity which renders it unhelpful, and that this equivocity is in part a consequence of Leibniz's failure to clearly distinguish between privatio and negatio, as a long illustrious tradition has done before him. I would even add that choosing the label of metaphysical evil for what Leibniz had in mind might have been ill-judged. This being said, I hope to have shown that on close inspection, Leibniz's notion of metaphysical evil is not as sinister as it at first sight appears. Creatures are not to some degree intrinsically evil simply because they are not God.